Woe to the Pharisees and lawyers. Ooh,
Ooh, poor lawyers
ooh,
got in here, right? And we are in Luke chapter 11, and we are starting in verse 37, I think.
37.
Yes.
And as he spoke, mother, a
Yeah.
certain Pharisee asked him to dine with him. So he went in and sat down to eat.
Nice. So this is nice.
It is nice, right? He brought him in.
Yeah.
He said, "Would you come have dinner with us?"
Right.
Mother thinks it's under good pretenses. Let's see how that plays out.
Let's see.
When the Pharisees saw it, he marveled that he had not first washed before dinner.
Mm.
Like took a bath,
I think wash his hands. Well, maybe. I'm not
or
sure.
wash his hands, wash his feet, whatever. He didn't clean himself.
I'm not
Was
sure.
it like required before dinner? Or they were just like, this guy's dirty.
I think they had the Jewish laws, maybe.
Okay.
And we don't have a full nation of exactly what, but it sounds like it's probably Jesus knows everything, so I imagine he knew this would spark a conversation, a physical lesson. Yeah, well, it has a reference to my Mark 7
Seven.
2, and it says, when the Pharisees and some of the scribes came together to him, having come from Jerusalem now, when some of them saw his disciples eat bread with defiled, that is, unwashed hands, they found fault. So I think that's probably what he's talking about.
Okay.
Okay,
Um,
39.
then the Lord said to him, now you Pharisees make the outside of the cup and dish clean, but your inward part is full of greed and wickedness. Foolish ones,
Mm,
did
foolish.
not he who made the outside make the inside also? But rather give alms to such things as you have, then indeed all things are clean to you. But woe to you, Pharisees, for you tithe mint and rue and all manner of herbs, and pass by justice and the love of God. These you ought to have done, without leaving the others undone. Woe to you, Pharisees, for you love the best seats in the synagogues and greetings in the marketplaces. Woe to you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites! For you are like graves which are not seen, and the men who walk over them are not aware of them. So would you like to do a little recap, or did we want to read further?
Yeah, recap sounds good because
Okay.
that was quite a uh, rebuking, if
It
that's okay.
was. Certainly
Yeah.
was.
So I think he's just telling, well, in the Jesus, did he not wash his hands deliberately so they could have this conversation about what was inside, not what was outside?
I thought they were going to say something about him having dinner with the lawyer.
Oh yeah, I know. Well, maybe that's coming up. The lawyer's coming up.
That'd been too easy. And they said,
45. Don't worry. So, but he's talking about, so the Pharisees are like, the priests more, and the religious people. And then he's talking about tithing, like you tithe mint, like the little herbs, like
right,
you figure out what a tenth of that is. You're probably really precise, but then you can't tithe the major things, like,
right.
the
It's
big
they're
thing.
worried about perception. It's perception over
It's
reality.
perception, yeah. You're
And
talking
like
about justice,
you
the
are
love of God.
so wrapped up in the fine details of everything that you can't see the people that are actually struggling right in front of you. And you
Right.
forget they're human beings and that you can't do anything about it because of some law.
So then,
It's
right.
like,
And now he's not saying to regard, he's saying in the end of 42, he said, the things you ought to have done, the justice and the love, or the things you're right. You ought to have done the tithing and all that, but without leaving the others undone. Like you're not doing the whole thing, right?
or you're breaking laws in order to uphold this one law.
Right. You got to do all of it.
But
Come on.
like, does it really balance out what you're doing? Are you really watching the actions that you're doing? Or are you
Yeah.
like about to fall off?
And now, as we talk about them, um, or we need to examine ourselves too,
We do.
because it is, and then because you see in the next part, the loving the best seat in the synagogue. I mean, we got to be careful of that part too. The pride can sneak in very easily, and
I think like you
the
hear it like don't forget where you came from kind of thing. Like the work that you put in to get where you are. Like those Pharisees, as good as they are, it took their entire lives to get there. And not to take away from what they did, but you're still doing the wrong thing. So
right, and you have to. It's
yeah.
a everyday journey, isn't it?
An everyday journey. It's a stacking journey. It's a
Yeah.
snowballing effect of
Yeah.
uh,
And not forgetting that, the humble way,
I mean, even if you do forget, somebody else will humble you.
the mercy that God's given us too,
True. To be given
because
to
we,
others.
yeah,
As it
the
was
mercy
given freely to you,
given freely that we didn't deserve. Now, what about the lawyers? Are they going to get one?
right? Then
Mm.
one of the lawyers answered and said to him, Teacher, by saying these things, you reproach us also.
Oh boy, but don't worry, it's
He's like,
coming.
you've offended the crowd, brother. Know your audience, right?
So it is interesting that Jesus doesn't seem to be worried about that part, right?
Well, at the end of the day, he brought him into his house. He knew what he was about, right?
Right, because Jesus
Well,
will talk plainly. Do we not talk plainly enough? Like, do we not?
who the fuck, who is this lawyer to get offended? Was he talking to you? No. But he did. He picked it up. And then if you pick it up, it's for you.
I know. I mean, because if it wasn't for you, you wouldn't have even gotten offended, right?
Right.
Mhm. And
Woe to you also, lawyers. For you load men with burdens hard to bear, and you yourselves do not touch the burdens with one of your fingers.
Mm.
Woe to you, for you build the tombs of the prophets, and your fathers killed them. In fact, you bear witness that you approve the deeds of your fathers, for they indeed killed them, and you build their tombs. Therefore, the wisdom of God also said, I will send them prophets and apostles, and some of them they will kill and persecute, that the blood of all the prophets which was shed from the foundation of the world may be required of this generation, from the blood of Abel to the blood of Zachariah, who perished between this altar and the temple. Yes, I say to you, it shall be required of this generation. Woe to you, lawyers, for you have taken away the key of knowledge. You did not enter it yourselves, and those who were entering in you hindered. And he said these things to them. The scribes and the Pharisees began to assail him vehemently and to cross-examine him about many things, lying in wait for him and seeking to catch him in something he might say, that they might accuse him. So they got him to talk, and then they wrote it all down, and then they
Yeah,
thought about it until they had enough information and enough just sheer coincidence and enough
ammunition. And
timing, right?
yeah,
To finally be able to just lie their asses off.
which is eventually what they
They
kind of,
needed enough half truth to build
right.
enough of this lie up to make it a reality so they could go kill a guy.
I know. Wow.
But the things you'll do when you don't like somebody.
Wow.
Who knows?
Lord Jesus. That is a tough one, isn't it?
It is.
So
I
maybe
don't know. These
I
lawyers. What about these lawyers?
don't know. What about the lawyers? You have For you have taken, it's interesting, isn't it? 52. Woe to you, lawyers, for you've taken away the keys of knowledge. You did not enter in yourself, and those who were entering in, you hindered. So the people that are trying to do the right thing, is that what he's saying? Trying to thing, you're misleading them. I think that's what he's saying. Is he
Where are you reading?
52? Woe to you, lawyers. You see that one? Verse 52. And then there's the prophets. That's
So
a,
they're being gatekeepers of knowledge.
in a way they're trying to, right?
Right. Which is also,
Not their job.
it's a misuse of power
Yes.
to do that. It's not right. Like they were given freely, and because they think
Now
they know better, that you're not even allowed to know what they know.
wow. Lord Jesus, help us to be wise and humble to understand, right? And to seek, search me, O Lord, and know my heart. And if there's anything wicked in me, take it away. Now that's not how the verse went. I made up
And
the
then
last
like
part because I got stuck. So it says 139 is Psalm 139. It says, do. Where is you? Search me, O God, and know my heart. Try me and know my anxieties, and see if there's any wicked way in me, and lead me in the way everlasting. That's what God says in Psalm 129.
that's nice.
That's nice. Even peaceful.
It is very peaceful.